Welcome to my laundry area. It's small, it's compact, but it gets the job done. This video is all about money saving, time saving laundry tips to make your life just a little bit easier. And as someone who does not have a massive laundry room in their house and who doesn't have a ton of time to be spending on laundry, this is what we do to make sure that our clothes last, that our budget isn't stretched too far, and that we don't have to spend all day doing laundry. The first thing I want to talk about is how we wash our clothes. And this is probably one of the biggest components as to why our clothes last so long. The first thing we do, the first tip I have, is how you sort your clothes. Now, I don't necessarily sort my clothes by color. I sort them by fabric type. For instance, if I'm going to wash a blouse that I wear for work or out with friends or out to dinner with my husband or anything like that, I'm not going to be washing this with a pair of jeans. Not going to happen. What I do is I do it by fabric type. So if I have a blouse or a nice sweater or one of my husband's polos or something that's a little bit on the nicer end that we want to keep looking nice long, then those get washed together. Those get put in the washing machine all by themselves, even if one of them is lighter color, if one's dark, if one's red, because I wash everything on cold, which I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I wash all of the blouses and nicer shirts put together and my work pants all in one load. So that way they're not getting banged around with jeans and sweatpants and anything like that that can fade the color a lot faster. Or if it's a sweater, it could even pull a thread and mess up your sweater. The next type of load I do is jeans. So if I have jeans or heavy sweatpants or heavy work pants, cargo pants or anything like that, that gets put into a load all by itself. And that way it's not getting washed with anything else. The third type of load I do is what I call around the house, not sort of bummy clothes, but close. And that's t-shirts, like a pullover like this, or most of our son's clothes. That all gets put into one load together. So that way if those are, banging around on each other, then it's fine. There's no zippers that can pull on anything because all the jeans are in another load. But that just makes life a little bit smoother. And then the final load I do is towels and sheets, and that all gets put together. I don't wash towels with clothes. I don't even wash our son's like cute little bath towels with any of our clothes. All that gets put together in its own separate load. So that's the first thing I do that kind of saves us on our clothes, because I don't spend a fortune on clothes. I spend, let's see, for my husband, I spend about $100 a year. For myself, maybe $150 to $200, and then our son, we were gifted a lot of clothes when he was born, so we probably have only spent like $100 on him so far, and he is almost 2 years old. But this is what we do to save our clothes to make them look nicer longer, is we just make sure that the way we wash them is very nice and it takes care of our clothes. And here's what our wash machine does to help us do that. The first thing we do on every single load is I wash them in cold. I'm not going to wash them in warm or hot. The only time I do that is if one of us is sick, and I'll wash towels or sheets. But every load we do is washed in cold. Towels, sheets, clothes, everything. I don't see the point in paying for hot water to make it run longer, to make it use more energy, if the detergent we're using, the wash machine we're using is already doing the job of making sure that our clothes get clean. The next thing we do to save us time and money is our wash machine has a speed feature. We wash our clothes on the speed wash setting, which means that it's not running as long, so it's not using as much energy. The only difference is that it doesn't soak our clothes, which that's fine. If we have something really dirty, or if one of us has been sick, like I said, then I'll use maybe the soak feature. But for the most part, we're fine with speed wash. Our clothes come out just fine. They're clean. They look good. The next thing that we do is our wash machine has a sensor for the water. So if I have a small load, which is very rare, I try not to have too small a load. But for instance, my husband has to do clinicals for school, and he got 2 bright red polos that he had to wear. I'm not about to wash brand new red polos with any other clothes the first go around. What I do is I put them in the wash machine, wash them on cold, just those 2 shirts in one load. But by using the sensing feature on my water gauge, then it only fills what's needed. So I'm not wasting water that way, which is awesome. The other thing we do is the type of detergent we buy really helps us save money. Our son was a newborn. Actually, when I was at a baby shower for our son, I was gifted one of those fancy newborn baby laundry detergents, which was awesome because I was able to wash all of his brand new clothes before he was ever born. Which I probably would not have thought about doing until he got home from the hospital, and then I would have been in a panic because that's just what new moms do. They don't think like that. But I was gifted that, and so I used it, and I used it like crazy. I used it all up, washing all of his clothes. And when I ran out, I'm like, I need more. I need to go get it. So I went to the store, and I'm like, holy crap, that's expensive. I don't want to pay that. And after a little bit of research, I realized that there are other detergents that are out on the market that are the same price as normal detergents, and they will do the same thing. So for instance, we went out and we got this all free and clear, and this is what we use on our clothes, it's what we use on our son's clothes, it's what we use on towels, everything. It has no perfumes and no dyes, which means it is safe and gentle for all skin types. We were using that when our son was still a newborn, and he had no irritation or anything along those lines. Even my husband, who I can't use certain detergents with, had no problem with it. When we switched to that, we realized that how much of a savings it was, because now I no longer had to keep our son's clothes separate from ours. I could wash them all together, and it's the same price as what I was already paying for the detergent my husband and I were using prior to switching to this. Next thing I did is I bought the fabric softener, the all free and clear fabric softener, and this works great too because it's the same thing. No dyes, no perfumes, which means it's safe and gentle for our son. Making sure that the detergent we use is something that is of higher quality, that doesn't have the perfumes, doesn't have the dyes. It also helps keep our clothes looking nicer longer. Next thing I want to talk about is the way we dry our clothes, because that has been a huge money saver as well. I'm not going to say a time saver because it definitely doesn't save time, but it does save money. Is we don't dry all of our clothes. I hang up about, I would say 70% of what I wear and probably a good 50% of what my husband wears. And then only a few things here or there for our son. But I hang up everything I wear to work, whether it's a sweater or a blouse or a t-shirt or pants, all of that gets hung up, which means the color is not going to fade nearly as fast. The fabric is going to hold up a lot better, but it doesn't save time because now you have to wait for your clothes to air dry. But the only things that get dried at our house are sheets and towels, and then we have our jeans and sweatpants, things like that, and then most of our son's clothes get dried because we go through them so fast. And let's be honest, he's a boy, he's already going to go through his clothes and mess them up anyways. It's fine. But most of my clothes, because I don't spend a fortune every year in investment on our clothes for work and for going out, then this is how I can make our clothes last longer. Most of the clothes I have are years and years old, and it's totally fine. They look brand new. You know, most people wouldn't even notice that, or wouldn't even know that they're 3-4 years old. But that's one thing that saves us a lot of money, is we don't have to run our dryer nearly as long. We can air dry a lot of our stuff. So like the loads that are mostly blouses and work pants and polos, most of that load is going to get hung up and it's not going to be put in the dryer, which is saving us money by not having to run our dryer. I also want to share with you one other tip I had, and it's because our wash machine and dryer is in such a tight space. I actually found this on Amazon years ago, and I have used it ever since. I've never had to buy a new one, but it's the way we iron our clothes. I don't iron a lot, but I do work in an office and I do need to look nice, so if I have a shirt that has wrinkles, I do need to iron it. But because I don't have a ton of space here, I went and I got this from Amazon, and I'll link this for you so you can see what this is. But it's basically a fire-resistant padded cloth, and it has magnets in the corners, so you can lay it on your washer and dryer, you can iron your clothes, you can lay it on a table, kitchen counter. Heck, I've even ironed on my floor before, and then you fold it up, and there you go. Now you don't have this clunky ironing board that falls out of the cabinet, falls out of the corner. You have to find space to stick it. You have to get it close enough to an outlet. You don't have to do that anymore if you have something like that. I have an outlet right here. I can use it, it's easy, done. Which means I'm more likely to actually iron my clothes instead of throwing them back in the dryer, which saves us money because I don't have to run the dryer as much. So it's just one tip I have that just is a space saver, and I absolutely loved it, and I would recommend it to anyone because it makes life just a little bit easier. That's it. That is my dirty money saving laundry tips. If you have any questions about anything you've seen in this video, make sure you leave those below. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I try to post weekly videos with just a few money tips and life hacks and things about being a mom to save you time, money, and your sanity.